This meets that. This meets that. You pick this and I'll pick that. We'll put them together and what do you get? A movie we describe as this meets that. This meets that. Yeah!
Welcome back to This Meets That, podcast where we take two movies, mash them up, and make a third new movie, something you would call This Meets That. Merry Christmas, Steve.
Merry Christmas, Ben. How are you?
Good, I'm good. Gearing up for the holidays, I see. This will be our last This Meets That of the year. We're on episode 20, so congratulations to 20. So that's like, 4 movies minimum per episode. That's 80 different movies used, at least 40 different mashups. That's crazy. But I wrote down 3 things that I will use. Whether we get to 3 or not, I wrote down at least 3.
I wrote down 3. Don't remember if we used any of them. I don't think we have.
A thing we go through every single time. Do you want to look at the list?
No.
Okay.
We're just going to go with it. Because you know what? Sometimes we can reuse them and it's fine.
Sure. Yeah, I was just looking at the list and looking at, well, what if instead of the top and bottom, it's the top and then the one above it, and I was just mashing little things. I'm like, damn, this is a totally different movie. So if we have to, hey, we use The Star is Born twice. Thanks, Steve. So I guess we could probably use like RoboCop twice. Something big. Don't tell me you have A Star is Born on there.
No, I don't.
Okay, good. I would hate, like, there'd be something wrong with your brain if you couldn't remember that you used that already. But anywho,
it's one of those things where like you try and use something known but also like kind of obscure. Like,
sure.
Who's bringing up A Star is Born all the time? I'm guessing that's where my brain's been. Sorry.
All right, let's get mashing. All right, you got a movie?
I do.
1, 2, 3. Ocean's
Superman.
11. Ocean's 11 and Superman.
Okay.
Yeah, new Superman trailer just dropped, so we have Superman on the brain.
So, first off, do you do normies trying to rob a superhero, or do you do superhero robbers?
See, superhero robbers seem like a little too easy.
Yeah.
Like,
haven't we done that before, too? Like, I feel like there's got to be...
You would think, like...
a superhero heist movie.
In Ocean's 11, we need the gymnastics guy, so we need someone super flexible. So you get a stretchy Mr. Fantastic type.
Yeah.
You got the big tough guy who can bust open the safe, and you have the one that could go invisible so the cameras don't see her. Right. It just seems kind of easy, kind of boring, and the trick for that is now you have to create the heist situation where they fail, because you got to have something in the heist that goes wrong and they have to improvise. So the creative thing is, well, what are your superpowers and what are the things that they are going to get through and what are the curveballs that get thrown at them? I think that's pretty basic and not as interesting as normal Joe Schmoes who are trying to rob, say, Superman's Fortress of Solitude, because Lex Luthor hired them to do a thing, and you have to use humans against these superhero characters because they have detections against they can tell when someone has a power or not, but maybe as a regular person you could hide amongst the normies that work in the Justice League building, because they got to have employees, right? They can't do it all themselves.
Sure. Yeah, or like, what if there is no, it's not really about the security system, because what if Superman basically is a walking security system?
Yes.
Because he has super hearing and can see through walls and everything. So it's just like, it's like the equivalent of just like, oh yeah, he's got a house and the front door is wide open.
Yeah. But
the second, you can't even get close to the house without him knowing you're coming.
Yes.
So it's like, so how do we like break down the security system of this super being?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that could be kind of fun. It's not really about how do we get in, it's how do we handle
this? It's like, trying to do a mission and there's a big monster in the forest. Like, how do we deal with Jason coming after us when we're trying to jumpstart a car? That's a smaller version of this. So you would have to first think of what's your superhero, because no one's going to make a pre-existing things. I don't think DC or Marvel would ever approve a movie where Superman or the Sentry or whoever it is, in that they're not the main focus.
Yeah.
So you'd have to create this world, create a superhero where everybody knows who this person is, and we have to establish what their powers are. We'd have to create something completely new. he could be a Superman type, but
Yeah.
I don't think I want to do. Oh well, he has freeze breath and super hearing and X-ray vision. We got to figure out like very specific powers for what the heist is. You know what I mean?
I kind of get what you're saying. I mean, I don't know if we necessarily have to like think too hard on, an
I'm not saying
original.
right here. I just like that's one of the
Yeah,
problems
yeah, yeah.
of
I,
the.
I wouldn't expect a original superhero. No, although I think it could be a fun episode of like the Justice League or
Sure, yeah. I mean,
Superman.
there is
The
one where
animated
like
series.
Clock King and Captain Boomerang and some other people they have to go up into the Justice League tower
Uh-huh.
posing as employees to put a virus in their computer or something. It's a really fun episode.
But I mean, you can do it like a bright burn and just like, oh yeah, this is what if Superman was you know, raised evil or
Hmm.
not raised evil, but was
But
like
just
evil from the get go,
inherently evil,
inherently
yeah.
evil. Um, but you just like have a Superman type character, and I know
Hmm.
there's been a ton of them with like
Yeah,
Homeland. Like I don't want to.
Omni Man and all
Yeah, I
that.
don't.
So
I
maybe
think the
like,
question is also is like, do we want him to be bad and that's why he's Robin, or what if he's good and they're just like, well, we're not. We know Superman does good stuff. We don't necessarily hate Superman
yeah, but
as a
we
being,
need this
but
thing.
but either this thing we need, or look, I know Superman does good for the world, but also he is a liability. So if we rob him of this, we can give it to this guy who will kill him,
Hmm.
and then thus humans will be back to square one. Like,
Okay.
could that be the thing? It's just like we recognize, he is Superman, but
Hmm.
uh,
I
you
mean,
know,
like, say
what
you
if he
were
goes bad?
if you were just like robbing Batman. Batman has all types of weird things in his cave, and like, oh, we need to get into the Batcave and steal a tooth from his giant T Rex. Because someone either hid something in it, or maybe it's just for fun. Like, can these guys are like, can we pull one over on Batman, the world's greatest detective? Can we get into his cave and out without him detecting us?
Yeah,
I mean, these just sound like fun issues of comics or episodes or something.
yeah,
So it really doesn't kind of need to be its own thing of this all powerful being stop this supervillain. This supervillain had a machine that if we take it, we can reconfigure it and save people. It cures cancer. It's like the bed in Elysium.
yeah, yeah.
If we mess with this machine, we could have this. But Superman refuses to let anybody touch it because of the implications of what you can do, and other people reverse engineering it and using it for bad. It's better if
Hmm.
he just keeps it locked away. And yeah, Superman's a good guy and he does everything, but he's not right about this. And we have a duty to get this thing. It could be a medical thing. It could be a crystal that heals things, or a genie's lamp. I don't care what it is, but like we need it. We know he's good, and we're gonna take the risk because of whatever.
Sure. Okay, I like that idea.
Yeah.
All right. So, do we have a name for this movie?
Mm,
Soderbergh's directing, of
of
course.
course. Yeah.
uh, hmm.
This is hard.
I got the tagline:
Okay.
"Up, up, and get away with it."
No, that's good, but it sounds clunky. Maybe just up, get away. I don't know if
Sure.
it makes any sense, but
Because like super heist sounds like a shitty
Yeah,
like
uh-huh.
B movie. Um,
isn't there some power heist? What was that Jamie Foxx superpower movie on Netflix?
was it just called
Power?
Power?
Maybe. I'm thinking
Project Power.
Project Power. I'm thinking of Tower Heist
Yes.
for Power Heist.
But then it seems like we're trying to steal his
Yeah,
powers,
like it's-
which I
yeah.
guess is
That
a way you could
be a thing.
Yeah,
Like maybe
it's
some
like-
of the people on the team don't really know what it is. They just know you're good. Or I mean, maybe you would even have to have a team of superpowered people, to do it. Instead of superpowered people just robbing a casino or whatever, you're making superpowered people rob Superman, and you do get someone who can be invisible or stretchy or whatever. And then some of them are just good people trying to do a good thing, but maybe someone on the team has ulterior motives. Yeah, we're doing this one thing, but I'm actually going to plant a bomb to kill the superhero.
Yeah. Or it can still be the thing of like, oh, he's got this like magical cancer curing technology. It's like, yeah, we are here to steal that, but it also can turn humans into super beings or whatever.
Okay.
It can alter our DNA and make us like him, and then, we can rise up and I can rule the world or whatever.
Sure.
And then they're just like, now we gotta call in Superman to whatever.
Yeah, now we gotta rat ourselves out to stop the heist. Because you know how in heist movies, I'm like, oh, well, I planned for that all along. I could see that being a thing. I knew you were going to betray us and give yourself superpowers. That's why I contacted Superman a day before. And Superman's just going along with it.
Or, he realizes the error of his ways, becomes a power person or whatever, and it's like, I'll distract him. You guys get out of here. They fight so they can actually pull off the heist.
Okay.
And
just like werewolves and 28... or not 28 Days Later... what's the vampire Josh Hartnett movie?
30 Days of Night.
Yeah. You got to become the thing to defeat the thing. Yeah.
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 Sure.
And then I think Superman should just paste him. Just like, oh, I got powers now. And he just one punch and he explodes and they're like, gulp, run!
Classic. All right. So we...
we still need a title.
Let's just go with Up, Get Away.
All right.
Or...
It's definitely not going to be the title of this episode.
No.
That's for sure.
Weak title. Well, we gotta try.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's... How do you take that any differently? You can't do Superman and Ocean's 11 in any other way. We kind of covered all of our bases,
I
right?
think so, yeah.
All right. So let's go on to our next one. You got a movie?
Yeah. I'm interested to see how it works.
Okay. Same.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, get
Night
out.
of the Museum.
Get Out, Night of the Museum. Okay. Huh.
Oh, we're going to go down. We're going to need to contact HR on this one.
Okay, before you start.
I have... Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, I was at the Mutter Museum in Philly a while ago. Have you been there?
I don't think so.
I probably mentioned it on the show, but it's a medical oddities museum.
Oh, yeah.
And so while we were going through that, I thought, wow, that'd be fucked up to have a night at the museum at this place. And all these horrible skeletons and mutated people coming after you.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. So I put it down in my phone, the Night at the Mutter Museum.
There we go.
That's that. But it's Get Out. You gotta add Get Out. So that Get Out is about affluent white people taking healthy young black men and women and taking their brains out and putting their own brains in it because they want to. It's chic. It's cool to be black people, and you get to live longer as well. And it's about a man and his girlfriend meeting her parents for the first time and finding out that they do this sort of thing. And Night at the Museum is a museum where everything comes alive at the end. I think Night at the Museum is such a great premise to mix with almost anything.
Well, let's get into it.
Let's try.
So my initial thought is okay, you have this Black History Museum.
Okay.
And so then you have this, evil white person owns the place, and you meet him, and he's not necessarily giving tours, but they're just here's blah 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 blah, and maybe they're kind of eschewing something. So you have these students who are on this field trip, and these black students who are on this field trip, and they're learning about this stuff, but there's that one kid in the group who's just some of the facts they're kind of pointing out are
they actually like being slaves.
No, not saying that, but it just seems they're definitely twisting the truth a little bit, or finding some inconsistencies in the stories, and what the fuck's up with this guy?
Okay.
Maybe trying to downplay, America's involvement in slavery, or just going maybe some of them actually did.
We're doing that in schools right now. There's some, I think it's PragerU, that are just, they have these videos for conservative history teaching, and it is a whole lot of like, well, some slaves actually enjoyed it because then that means they got to be employed and they got food and they were treated really nicely. And like, that's not maybe 1 out of 1 million of them, sure. I mean, there's definitely house slaves that probably looked down on regular slaves and thought they were better because they were like beaten into submission for that. So yeah, this doesn't sound too far off. Okay, so crappy owner of the museum. Is this just a wing of a bigger museum? And it's like, oh, it's February, so we got to put up the Black History Month section. And he's all just like, oh, I hate this
No, I
stuff.
think it's a Black History Museum, and then
So why is he in charge?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's one of the
Okay.
problems that like the smart student is just kind of like, it's weird that this guy runs the place, but it's like that's been America's history. It's just like, why is this guy the guy fucking running it?
Yeah.
Did you ever see that documentary Good Hair that Chris Rock made?
No.
I saw it. And I don't remember why I saw it. I think, but it doesn't matter. But in it, they talked about the black hair beauty product industry is just like 90% white. It's like no, like it's so hard for African Americans to like own whatever because just like
they already
white people are making money off of black people.
They already had soap, and now they have soap for black people. You know, they already have the means of production for that. Whereas like a black owned thing is so much harder to hit the masses.
Yeah. But anyway, so I just imagine it's kind of like, well, that's weird. It's weird that they're like downplaying some of the stuff and like the kid is trying to get like, well, hey, actually this. And then it's like, no, you must have it wrong. Let's keep the tour going. And you just kind of see that kind of stuff. And then the kids just like turn to their friends and are like, hey, let's sneak away from the group and we'll stay overnight and then we'll like, spray paint facts on the walls or just like trash this place because clearly it's wrong and we're
adjust things, fix things.
Yeah, we're activists. Yeah. They're just like, I don't know about this Kate or whatever.
Kate, yep. Yeah. Okay.
Her name's Kate. I don't know. Right. We could get in a lot of trouble. There's got to be security. It's like, well, my dad works security here or something.
I could get the keys from him.
I don't know. Yeah. Or like some crazy
He
shit.
took me here overnight all the time. I know where all the laser wire tripwires, like a big swinging, mallet
boulder from
exactly.
Jones.
All the laser trips and where the cameras point.
But then the lights go down, the museum closes, the evil guy, goes home, or you think he goes home, and then the things come to life, and it's just like, in the movie we get this, well, here are the facts, and so it's like kind of, telling you the truth, but also has this like magical element to it, and they're just like, this is actual like the atrocities that have happened to us, or talk about this. So like you have Martin Luther King coming out and like, yeah, man, like civil rights movement was fucking tough, man. Yeah. And all this other stuff that I'm not well versed enough to talk about, but it'd be like a cool thing that I think you could do.
Yeah, you would have
kind of a bummer, but also like maybe a little bit uplifting because they stick it to the evil guy who was running the place because he somehow maybe he's a dark wizard who just wants to like put. Yeah, I don't know.
Misinformation out there?
I guess, yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
But there's something there.
Okay. See, I wasn't focusing on the racial side. That makes sense why you would do that. But I was thinking more of the brain swapping side.
Well, before you start, I was kind of thinking that too. It was like, oh, he's taking people under the guise of like, I'll give you a private tour. Takes their brains out, puts them in this place so they come on magic or whatever. Like,
okay.
But then it's just like, oh, well, you're just putting
white people into.
It's like, oh, I've actually been around for 200-300 years or whatever, and I still think slavery should exist. And so, like, I'm putting their brains in here and using them as my museum night slaves or whatever. But then it's just like, well, they're just modern day people that are going into these mannequins that come to life.
Yeah,
that's kind of weird. Or do they like, oh, they were never. This is like a new museum, and it's actually like they're taking people and then through whatever technology, they're becoming mannequins themselves. Like we didn't have these displays, but now we do because we stole someone and did some magic mumbo jumbo with a scroll or something from ancient times. But anyway, what's your angle?
Well, okay, hold on off on mine for a second. I think for yours. The museum owner isn't a crotchety old white guy. He's a black guy. And the students are these like ignorant little white racist pieces of shit. All right.
Oh, okay.
And so it's a, I've had in school where you get to, usually a church thing, spend the night at the church, spend the night at the school, and everybody's, just hangs out, tries to stay up as late as you want, snacks and movies and stuff, and then the boys sleep over here and the girls sleep over here. Anywho, so they're doing that at this museum, and they're all pissed. They got to stay in the Black History section, and they're just not happy about it. And so the museum curator is kidnapping these racist kids and either putting their brains into the mannequins or is able to hypnotize them or actually sends them through a portal. But then they end up, like, if you do the brain thing, you put the brain into this particular Black person of history. Now that kid is transported to that time period and has to experience what it's like to be Black as
fun.
that person.
Yeah.
And then when they come back, no time has passed, and then they are enlightened and they learn something.
Okay. I like that, because if it's like the evil psychology kind of stuff of it, it's like, did I actually go through a portal and go back in time, or did this guy just like brainwash me to think like, oh, I went back there, kind of thing? Okay, that's cool. I like that.
It's an idea. The only other thing I was having is more of a evil Scooby-Doo-esque thing. The kids are in the museum and the bad guy is putting their brains into these things, and that's how they can come alive. But I couldn't think why, what's his purpose to it.
Absurd.
Or like he's so obsessed with history that, I need to be, we were able to save this figure in history's brain in this jar, and I need a body for it because I want to learn more about these people. So he's killing these kids, taking their brains out, putting them in jars, taking that old brain, putting it into the kids. And so now there's this young kid with the brain of Malcolm X and is able to teach all he knew. And because this guy's just obsessed with history. I don't know what kind of movie that is, because he just wants to learn. But is he putting the brains back in, or is he learns as much as they can, but that brain can only give them like a half hour and then they die? And then I don't know what else to do with that. So I think I'm going to say my pitch is built off of yours of sending people like maybe antebellum style. I know that's not actual time travel, but did you see Antebellum? Where she like wakes up and she's on a plantation and like, what the fuck is going on?
Okay, yeah.
And it's just,
I didn't see it, but I know
it's just cosplay. It's just people dressing up and pretending they're in the past because
that's the twist of the movie.
Yeah, there's no time travel. It's just like, no, we're all just normal people and we've been kidnapped and forced to be slaves so they can live out these lives of being slave owners. A lot of people were shitting on it. I think that was a pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Antebellum.
All right, so hypnotizing white children to believe they're in Black bodies, or maybe actually then have them live out the atrocities of the times. That's pretty cool. Yeah. All right, I like that. Let's go with that.
And you can go dark. Like, there was that little white girl that accused the black boy of making passes at her. I don't think it was even raping her, but it was like, oh no, he tried to kiss me, or he even just looked at my way and they lynched him.
Yeah.
I'm mad, you do things even as dark as that in this. So to really shock the shit.
Oh, yeah.
Police dogs attacking your parents in the street, do some horrible fucking shit so these kids can learn their lesson. It could
also be a good episode of Lovecraft Country.
Yeah.
It could fit into that world.
It's very Twilight Zone-y.
Yeah.
I think there is one where the guy he looks black to everybody, but he's a white guy. I'm like, what do you mean I can't sit on this section of the train? Look at me. Okay, so
all right, let's get a title here.
Okay.
Jordan Peele directing, of course.
Why not? No, let's get Zoe Kravitz. With
Blink Twice.
Blink Twice. She was handling the kind of like mind altering and racial shit. I think she's a good choice.
Sweet, Zoe Kravitz it is. Blast from the past.
Black from the past. Cut.
Back in Black.
That's
actually not bad.
Back in Black. Oh my god.
That's at least the tagline.
Yeah, that's the tagline. Fuck, Steve. That's funny.
Thank you. Oh man, we're gonna get canceled.
Needle in a time stack. I
Should
think it's streaming. I think we need to do Needle in a time. We need to make me watch Needle in a time stack.
it just be Back in Black? Everyone will think it's an AC/DC documentary.
Yeah. I guess it's just gonna have to be for now.
Sure.
Okay. Good movie. I like that movie.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be the winner tonight. But...
Maybe we'll see this next one.
All right.
All right. Third movie. 1, 2, 3.
28 days later.
E.T. and 28 Days Later. Okay. So obviously,
I picked two movies where new trailers came out this week. All right. 28 Days Later and E.T.
Rage Zombies for 28 Days Later take over the UK. And then E.T. Alien comes, befriends some kids, and they try to save them for the government. So I think logically there is a zombie outbreak. Maybe it's not as extreme, but it is kind of a COVID-y sort of thing. Oh, we're in lockdown. There was some zombie sighting, so everybody in this neighborhood just has to stay put. And there is a zombie that's in the backyard of this kid. Maybe he was a neighbor. Maybe it's his old best friend. But this zombie's not acting normal. He seems scared, and so the kid is hiding him in the tool shed, and having to throw squirrels in and close the door to keep his zombie friend alive. He tells his friends, but of course, maybe his bully or nemesis at school finds out, and oh, you can't keep zombies as pets. That's bad. Where's this kid's parents? You put the zombie in the basket in the front of your bike and you try to take it away. Well, you would have to, since the zombies are bigger, you would put them in, the little baby carriages people pull behind that look like little tents. They pull behind their bikes.
Yeah.
You would have to do one of those, or maybe a wagon, tie the wagon to the bike. That's boom, the first thing that came to mind.
Okay. See, I was thinking maybe, so there isn't a zombie outbreak, but there is an infection. This is patient zero. The government was testing on people. This experiment didn't go. This kid, we'll say it's a kid because we're going to team him up as a kid. They had to see how it works on adults, but then they were like, and it wasn't working on adults. What happens if we try it on a kid? And it's fucked up, but whatever. Yeah. It's the government. And the kid dies, but comes back to life, but seems normal. It's but this kid's heart doesn't beat or whatever, but somehow this kid is still functioning and seems normal. He somehow escapes. Patient zero. Meets the other kid, and the kid's just oh, you're going to be my best friend because I'm alone and don't have any friends.
He's new to town. He just moved there. Hasn't been able to make friends with anybody. So he'll take a zombie if necessary.
I don't know who my parents are. Or I have this really, mean dad who's the scientist who runs the experiment or whatever. Yeah. And so you can have those scenes of when they finally catch him and, just like E.T. But it's okay, well, I need to keep you in hiding so the government doesn't get you. You're going to be my best friend because I have trouble making friends and my family is mean to me or whatever, or my brother's a jerk. And then the government starts snooping around we got to get you out of here. We need to get you onto this boat that'll take you away and you can go to this private island and live there or whatever. And that'll be your home world. And then you can even do they're really into aliens or something like that. It's an homage to E.T. Anyway, but then, and the government's well, if he bites or if his blood interacts, that will spread. He'll always be fine. He'll be normal. He could theoretically grow up to be or live as a normal kid, even though he can't die.
Yeah, but he can't grow either.
But if any of his stuff gets on anybody else, then it's rage zombies or it could be the end of us. We need to kill this undead kid. He's no, he's my best friend. And then it just becomes this heartwarming journey of a little boy trying to save his friend who may bring about the end of the world through zombies.
Okay. Is this a fun kids movie or is this kind of a darker movie?
No, I mean, I think that there could be dark elements to it because you do have a child who has been more or less tortured and murdered by the U.S. government for military purposes, I guess,
Yeah.
or maybe they were trying to like cure cancer. And this,
Mm-hmm.
how that. So it always starts with something good, but then
Yeah,
becomes
yeah.
something bad.
He was a leukemia patient. He's dying in a week or
Yeah,
whatever. Let's
or
try it
maybe
on
like
him.
what's kind of fucked up about it is like as the movie goes on, the kid starts like kind of deteriorating a little bit
Okay.
and like maybe starts smelling bad and like is starting to look by the end like starting to look really gross, but it's like I don't care how you look, you're my best friend
Mm-hmm.
and
And is he keeping all of his faculties?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then
That's
it's
the
like,
one
oh, there goes my cheek.
that's the one thing that's like kind of maintained, or maybe it is starting to that is also starting to
Mm-hmm.
grade, and he's becoming more traditional zombie. Like he,
Mm-hmm.
as the movie goes on, he looks a little bit more, and he's just like, I'm getting hungrier,
Yeah.
but like nothing's satisfying me. Not saying that he wants to eat brains, but then maybe it's the idea of like, well, maybe if I put my brain in his, it'll. I don't know. No, it's a terrible idea. But anyway, so
But I'm wondering, like, at the end, is he, when he finally goes complete zombie, is he going to attack this kid, or is he going to still protect him from the government? Because the way I'm picturing the ending is government's pointing guns at the kid and the zombie, and he's the kid standing in front saying like, "No, you're not going to kill him. He's my friend. He's still there." And then the kid turns completely, bites the kid right in
mhm.
front of him, and then they just open fire and take them both out.
Okay.
If you're going real dark and real gloomy,
No, I think it can still end dark and gloomy, but maybe with like a glimmer of hope. So where it's like, the kid, let's say he's got the zombie in the basket on the front and they're riding the bikes. The government's just like, don't let him get away. And then, like, a gunshot's heard. And it's like, oh, the zombie on the front's like, hey, Mark, it's a good thing they missed us, huh? And he's like, yeah, man, can't catch us. Ha ha ha. But then, like, actually, he got shot and,
okay,
whatever.
it's fighting through it.
And he's just, they are able to escape the government. They get on the boat and they're like, they can hear the helicopters and see the lights of the cars coming and the kids rowing. But like, he's like, I'm dying, man. It's like, you're not dying today. And then like drops one of his like undead fingers in his, sticks it in his belly and, stops the bleeding. But then because of the infection, and they both
Okay.
become, and like he becomes a zombie at the end too.
Okay.
And so they go to this island. They're able to make it there. The government lost them. They don't know where they're at, And so it's just like these two best friends who can now like maybe like yeah, he's gonna turn into
An actual zombie.
an actual zombie, but I'll still have my friend and I'm okay as long as we're together.
Mm-hmm.
So they're both like the one friend is a zombie, the one friend is just like the undead patient zero guy, but it's like, hey, at least we can still have each other.
Yeah.
And they just wait for like the end and like that's kind of where you leave it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like yeah, we're probably eventually they'll find us, they'll kill us, or at least we won't spread the infection because we're here, or hopefully, or maybe you even see like, oh honey, we're gonna go have a special camping trip on this island. That'd be good. And it's like you just see the not patient zero kid, the other kid who's like. You see him stepping out of the woods, and then it's like, oh, that's where the movie ends. So it's like, is it fucked up? Is it not fucked up? Will it have a good, what's going to happen? You never know. That's one of the ambiguous endings.
Yeah, because the friend could see that his friend has turned into this mindless zombie and been like, fuck, I thought he'd be more like me, but I guess I'm special. This is not living. This is not how I am. Do I need to do the right thing and put him out of his misery? Or is he just trapped in that body and he just can't communicate?
Yeah, or maybe, if the government shoots him, maybe he does turn into a zombie, and the patient zero guy's just like, all right, well, I refuse to lose my best friend, or like because the government did this, I was willing to like disappear or die, and my friend didn't want me to die. So now everyone's just going to turn to a rage zombie. So we see him like, you know, those boaters come on the camping trip or whatever. He bites them or whatever, and like pushes the boat back to the mainland. So he's still on the private island with his best friend, who's like still a zombie or whatever. But it's like, now what? Go fuck those people. And then you just think like, oh, okay, the outbreak's gonna happen.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of a fucked up thing. Like just seeing this family coming to a dock and this horrible zombie-looking thing starts walking towards them and just like, hey, can I, hey, how can I help you? And they're like, oh my god, are you all right? Like, yeah, I need a doctor. And then just bites one of them, pushes, and then they run on their own on the boat. Like he doesn't try to maul them.
Yeah.
But like, I'm gonna do this thing. They're gonna want to go to the hospital, and then he knows.
Yeah.
Yep. Fuck them all.
There you go.
Okay.
Kind of a little bit of like let the right one in.
Yeah.
little bit. But either way. All right, so what are we calling this 28 Days Later E.T. Heartwarming story of friendship and fucking up the government?
Blood Brothers.
Oh,
You know? They would do that at the beginning, maybe.
Whoa.
Oh, wait, he would already be dead. But I don't know, maybe they were friends before he went to do the experiment. Whatever it is, but I could see them like, you're my best friend. Well, we can only be real friends if we spit on it, and they do it, and like, I don't know if that counts. Like, I've heard of this thing, Blood Brothers, and they do that. I don't know.
okay. Fuck it.
Because that could even be a thing at the end, like, he does it before he's infected, and then later on, like, I don't care what they did to you. You're sticking with me. I'm saving you. Remember, we're blood brothers. And they do it again, and he starts slowly turning from that.
I mean, I think it's one of those... I think that's, like, the heartbreaking... Or, like, the scene that makes people cry is, like, the whole movie of... They talked about doing it, not as, like, we would ever do it.
Yeah.
It's like, I understand, like, if my blood gets in... Your blood gets in my blood...
Sure, they're too scared.
Then
It's
we're
going to
gonna
hurt.
be some... Or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, the kid believes he is dying because he took the bullet. And it's like, hey... We're we're blood brothers, and they finally do it, and you're like, oh, that's sweet. And then the kid dies, and like, and everyone in the audience is crying, and then of course he comes back to life.
Yeah.
I'm like, hooray!
And he's like, my best friend, he's alive. How does it feel? And it's just completely gone, snarling, chasing after squirrels to feed on, and realizing like, oh, this is some bad shit.
Yeah, and then the movie goes dark, and
Yeah.
it's whatever. All right, so Blood Brothers.
Blood Brothers.
Let's do it.
Okay. We really didn't like try to shop that any more than just like, this is E.T. and 28 Days Later. This really is the most as basic as you can get.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sometimes the easiest path is the right one, you know?
Cool. All right. Three good ideas. Maybe not 3 good pitches.
How long are we at?
We're at 45 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to do one more? See if we can get to an hour, or are you good with 45?
No, I'm good with 45.
Okay.
Sometimes these go long, sometimes these go short. You know?
Okay, sounds good.
And plus, actually, we're not at 45. We had a big conversation in the middle that I had to cut out.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be shorter, but that's fine. Short and sweet.
Do we have a director for this one?
For this one?
Alex Garland. No.
No. Get the guy who did Warm Bodies.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Warm Bodies.
Something. It could be a little dark. You know, I know it's another zombie thing, but why not?
Sure.
All right, cool. Like I said, 3 relatively good ideas. Some good titles, some not so good titles, but I'd say for our final episode of This Meets That of the year, not too shabby.
Maybe we should have thrown a Christmas movie in here.
You know what? I had that thought earlier.
Yeah.
I was gonna do all 3 Christmas movies.
Oh, that would have been fun.
But I remember thinking, you know what? That sounds like such a Steve thing to do. We will both have 2 Christmas movies, and that's not going to work. But, yeah, oh well, but now...
Mashing up Fred Claus and the Santa Claus.
Yeah, Jack Frost and Jack Frost.
What?
Because there's the Michael Keaton Jack Frost where he turns into a snowman, and then there's the killer snowman Jack Frost. So
I see.
You gotta mix the 2.
Yeah. What else? Die Hard and Snow Dogs.
Miracle on Elm Street.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Freddy's all like, "Oh, what would happen if I never molested those children?" And he sees the future, and they're like, "No, you had to do it, Freddy."
Setting him on fire, he freezes to death.
Yeah.
So now he's.
And then he finds his true spirit, like, I really gotta go back and kill all those children. The future depends on it.
Bitch.
Yeah. All right, cool. If you want to pitch us any ideas, give us 2 of the most random fucking movies you can even think of. We are at WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. We are on TikTok for now. We're on Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram. So hit us up with any of your mashups. And as always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And Merry Christmas.